Welcome to the Colorado Entrepreneur Podcast, where we interview successful Colorado entrepreneurs to help your business grow here in the Mountain Foothills community. Today, Brian and I are joined by Jonathan Moeller of Colorado Custom Covers and Decks, a luxury decking company here in the Foothills. Brian Caldwell is the owner of the Caldwell Insurance Agency and chairman of the Evergreen board. You can go to his website to get a quote. And I'm Cade from Shoot Social here in our studio in Evergreen. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Oh, thanks, Cade and Brian, for having me on.
Yeah,
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
We can kind of start off with what got you into the decking industry? What's kind of the backstory there?
Yeah, so originally started in Illinois doing remodeling. Had a remodeling company out there, super failure. But then we moved out here to Colorado, and I started working with my brother-in-law. He does new construction builds, and I was managing projects for him. And I was in like upper 20s, and I didn't really like managing at that time. I wanted to have my bags on and work and, just bust out some of that testosterone, and
Use the fun nail guns.
Yeah, just building and learning and getting your hands dirty. I really like that instead of like actual managing. And so then I got into, so I left that and started doing basements and backouts and new construction. And then they had a deck they needed done. And so I did a deck for them, and I was like, dude, I love it. I just fell in love from the very first time. Just being outdoors. In Colorado, being outdoors is just fantastic. So just from that point on, just been doing decks ever since.
So what do you love the hammer and nails of the deck? You love the design. What do you like about decks? What drives that passion?
Right now, I would say it's the creativity. It's kind of changed over time. When it first started out, it was just, being outdoors and being able to have the framing aspect of the deck and then also the finish work of the deck. So, and then really everything is really a finished product because everything a part of the deck is going to be seen, whether it's the joist or the decking, the rails. So it just it's a different type of craftsmanship. So that's what I fell in love with at first. And now, as we evolve in the company, it's more of like the design and like the creativity and the cool things we can do out here in Colorado.
Very cool.
One of the things that I'm most impressed by in your work is that you're not just a decking company that does a few grand decks or we want 100 square feet or something on our home. You do some impressive projects. I mean, I think I saw one that had like hot tubs on it or enclosed areas or multi-stories. How did you as a business owner transition from doing the small, maybe like 10 grand projects up to doing these multi six-figure deals? Walk me through that process of maturing your client base, especially up here in the mountains.
Yeah, I would say it was kind of luck for me, to be honest. So I had a goal in 2020, or maybe it was 2019 into 2020 to do a $100,000 deck. Like that was my goal. And we got that and we accomplished that. And I got that lead through my neighbor knew the guy that needed this deck done. So he gave me his name and went out and did the estimate. And we ended up getting the job. Turned out amazing, a beautiful deck. And so from that point, once we did some high-end stuff, we were able to get the photos and pictures to be able to then give other people the trust that, hey, we can do this and accomplish it. Because if you're just doing smaller decks, it's hard for somebody to envision then, oh yeah, they can handle this huge project and be able to turn over the quality that they're looking for. So I think it just knowing people, right? So there may be a little bit of marketing and getting to know people in the area to be able to then get that trust to you.
I imagine there's got to be a lot of challenges, to building a big deck like that. But up here in the mountains, you got grade, you got,
The temperatures.
Temperatures. Codes are different, right? Different materials required by building codes. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges you see and how you overcome them? Maybe how they've even changed as your company has grown up here and how you overcome them?
Yeah, that's correct, Brian. There's a lot of difficulty building up in the mountains for sure. The biggest one is our caissons, so that's our footers, which is all the concrete under earth there to be able to hold up the deck. So obviously out here digging, it can be a hard challenge. Luckily, there's a lot of granite and stuff up here that if we get into a big boulder of granite, the engineers allow us to tap into it. So we don't have to like break through all the granite and everything. But nonetheless, there's just a lot of rock and it's hard digging. And so, yeah, that's definitely the hardship is that, and then the grade, and a lot of times we got to boom and get a crane out there to boom in the beam so that we're being safe, because we can't do everything off the ladders. If it's off a level down in the plains there, on working on the level ground is pretty easy, but we got to make sure our guys are being safe. So a lot of times we got to get a crane boom in the beams and all that. And Jefferson County is where we do most of our work, and they've adopted Appendix Z probably about in 21, 22. I don't know exactly. I can't remember the exact year when they adopted that, but it's pretty much the Cal fire zones. And so there's a lot of different things that happened with that, of how the material you can use, the size of like soffits and different decking material that you're allowed to use to be able to meet that Cal fire regulations. So that definitely took a little bit of learning and hardship in that. But once you get that down, you kind of get in a rhythm and know what they want.
Okay. Did it change the way you build with material? Did you have to build differently?
Not really. A little bit, like a lot of times, like down the hill in our soffits, we use tongue and groove for our ceilings and our roof, or like when we waterproof our deck, we do tongue and groove. And we like to use the Beetle Kill Blue Stain Pine, but that's only 3/4 inch thick. And the Appendix Z requires 1.5 inches. So that is upgrade. So we had to use 2x6 instead of 1x. And so it's a lot harder to install. It costs more. So really a lot of that just, a lot more cost in the product and to build it. So it kind of just got transferred obviously to the homeowner, that now it's just going to cost, if you live up in the mountains, it's just costing you more because of these regulations that we're having.
And do the homeowners understand that? Do they get it when you do the pitch to them and say, hey, these are the codes we got to use? And I guess a second question to that is, do you see like other maybe deck companies cheating the code a little bit, or not pulling the permits or things like that?
Yeah, I would say definitely try to tell the homeowner up front, hey, this is the codes, this is what we have to do, and we abide by the codes. We don't swerve around the codes or try to be sneaky. We're a straight up honest company that's going to make sure that we're getting everything done per code. And as far as other companies, I definitely have seen that. Other companies coming in and not pulling permits, and a lot of the problem is Jefferson County right now, pulling a permit takes a long time, unfortunately. Before COVID, you used to be able to walk in and get a permit that day, and now it's taken 3 months.
Wow.
4 months sometimes. So if you're a company that doesn't work in Jefferson County and then you end up in here and try to work in Jefferson County, you don't know how to work it. All of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I got to wait 3 months. This job's supposed to happen in 2 weeks or whatever the case is. And then so you're like, well, let's just go and scramble and get it done. And so since we've been working in Jefferson County, we've been just growing with them as they've been growing. So we know their process. We know what we have to do and make sure we got a long enough backlog to keep everyone busy and keeping those permits rolling.
Big advantage, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, and that's part of the reason why we don't work in Denver or don't work in Boulder, because they have their own systems for me to try to dab into that, I'm going to be the same thing as someone trying to dab into Jefferson County now.
Nice, smart.
And shifting gears a little bit, hiring and finding good talent, especially in the mountains, is a challenge for a lot of business owners. Can you tell us a little bit about how many employees you have, how you structure them, and even how did you find talent that stuck around and that you're proud of having represent your company?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I got a great crew, great hourly guys that work for me, so I can't say enough good things about them. So I'm really happy and blessed to have that. The number one thing that I really focus on as far as growing them is the culture of our company. We're hardworking. Our culture is hardworking. Our culture is showing up on time, being ready to go, and very family oriented. So we do a lot of things together and out of the work zone. So just growing that culture, making people feel and believe in something that's bigger than themselves. So they're not just working for the company, but they're working for something bigger than themselves. And we're all doing that. I tell everybody, like, hey, I'm not a socialist by any matter, but I do definitely run my company in that sense. Like, hey, this is the company. This is Colorado Custom Covers and Deck. We're all under here working for this and providing for it. And when this company makes money, then it then spreads out to everybody. And so trying to get people to buy into that and see that is really what we try to promote.
And how many employees do you have, and how do you structure, because you have 2 or 3 building teams?
I got 2 building teams right now.
And how do you structure the number of employees, and how do you manage those 2 teams that might be working on different projects?
Yeah, so we have hourly crew and a subcontracting crew right now. The hourly crew, there's 4 guys on the crew, and I got a project manager, and then I got a project developer. So we got 6 plus myself, 7 guys that are on payroll every week, and then the other crew is a sub crew that gets paid piecework. Okay. And the project manager is really the guy that's going over and making sure everything is getting done correctly and up to code, and kind of babysitting sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, so that's kind of how we're structured. Hourly guys, again, they're clocking in per hour and getting paid per hour and that sort of thing. I don't know if I answered the question all the way or not, but
yeah,
I think you got it. Yeah. So there's a lot of challenges up here. I'm not in a business where I have to get supplies. Mm-hmm. How's your supply chain in the mountains? I know we got a little Home Depot over here, but that's about all we got.
Yeah.
Maybe an Ace Hardware, but what's that supply chain look like? How do you get your materials? I'm sure it's material heavy. Mm-hmm. Where do you go for that? Who delivers it? How do you get it delivered? Tell me a little bit about that and the challenges of being a builder, basically, in the mountains.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a great relationship with our supplier. It's Budget Home Supply. They're actually out of Longmont, so a little bit distance away. When they first approached us, probably back in 2017, I was like, man, you guys are really far away. I don't know how this is going to work. But they're one of the largest deck supplier in northern Colorado. So great company, family owned. I really enjoy working with them, and they take care of us, and we take care of them too. It's, again, we have a very family relationship with everybody that works for this company and is involved with this company. And so we get them the orders in as soon as we can. They come, they deliver it. They have a semi truck with a Moffett that can use a forklift and go and drop it, which is really important for me. There are some other suppliers that just have like a truck that drops the material like that. And so what that happens is the deck boards is the very edge of them. When they hit that concrete and slide off, they can get scratched up and damaged. So it's like, I'm not sure why they do that. I think every supplier needs to upgrade to a Moffett if they're installing or delivering decking. But as far as, once in a while when we get those snowstorms up here, they might need to push back a day or two. But usually we're missing that day too for work if we're getting snow. So it hasn't been too difficult. Obviously 2020 was a different story, as everyone felt that, but they do a great job giving deliver on time almost 99% of the time. So
you got to have a story. So some of these driveways get a little crazy, a little steep, little windy. Where that delivery truck pulled up and was like, no, Jonathan, we're not dropping this today. There's got to be one there. What do you do in that situation?
Yeah. So they just drop it as close as possible, and then we'll just have to there's been a couple of times, and I can't even remember off the top of my head what job, if there was, but we'd have to load it onto our truck and then drive it up or down the driveway. But they have on their Moffetts, they have ones that turn sideways, so the Moffett can go sideways so that all the material can go sideways.
Oh, wow.
A lot of times our beams will be like 40 feet long.
Right.
So you can't just go down the driveway like that. So then the wheels turn and go down. So it's not too often. There's one time in Indian Hills where we're building there, and the driver couldn't get up the hill. There's like 2 roads to get to the house, and he took the one that wasn't gravel. And so he actually was taking the Moffett up, and it lost traction and slid down and went and crashed into a tree.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so he had to jump off the Moffett and everything. And, yeah, it was kind of scary. But that was really the only thing that comes to mind as far as, like, man, maybe we shouldn't be building this one in the wintertime.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's pretty scary for the delivery drivers, too, when they look at some of these job sites. And, wow,
in my parents' neighborhood, they have they're up on the side of a mountain. There's this dirt road that's less than a 90-degree turn. So you're not a full U-turn. And somebody was building and had their concrete truck guy just come up, and he took the turn that he shouldn't have took, and his wheels were off of the ground in between the road. Right, because they have a ton of wheels, and he had turned, and those middle section of wheels were just hanging over this chasm. And then it's all dirt road, and so he was just there as the dirt's starting to settle because it's such a heavy truck. And luckily they were able to bring in a tow truck before, but every hour they're like, oh, and that's about to fall over and just roll down 1,000 vertical feet. Like, that's not a great look.
You couldn't pay me enough to drive a truck up here.
Yeah,
so that's a dangerous job.
Absolutely.
Some of these driveways. And one last question, just kind of for the education of the community and us even. We're talking about material. Mm-hmm. Does it cost more to get material up here? Does the material cost more? Or do you feel like you pay what a guy in Denver would pay, so to speak,
Yeah, we pay what the guy in Denver would pay.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no upcharge in that sense. They charge a delivery fee, but it's like 25 cents is what they charge me because I've just, I'm one of their top clients.
Buy a lot of wood.
Yeah, so the delivery fee is very reasonable, and they, like I said, very family oriented and work as a team together. So they take care of us, we take care of them.
You mentioned 2020. What's wood going for these days? What are we looking at board wise? Just
let's just do like a basic ballpark square foot cost of a deck.
Yeah.
I can give you that. It was probably back in 2020 was more like $85, $90 a square foot. Mm-hmm. And again, I can build a deck, both of them same exact square footage, but if they're a little design different, that price is just totally different.
Right.
So like every time I give these numbers, I just try to tell you, hey, it's almost, because all decking and everything is based off linear. It's not priced square foot. So when you're trying to give a square foot price to somebody, like it could be all over the place. It's really hard to do, but right now, I would say it's about $125 to $150 a square foot for a deck.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you do a cover, if you want glass railing, cable rail, stairs, like a lot of factors go into that.
And tell me a little bit about your marketing and brand here. You guys are great with being in the community, seen as not some buddy down from Denver who's trying to get business up here. Tell me a little bit about your marketing strategy and the brand that you've built.
Yeah, so marketing is probably one of the weakest things that I do, to be honest. Something that I've been trying to focus on the last year or so. But really, we're just doing a lot of Google ads and a lot of SEO, just really focusing on Evergreen, Conifer, this area up here pretty hard. And then we also do some magazines up here, the Evergreen Living, I believe. We advertise in that as well. So we try to do a lot of that paper stuff up here because this is where we like to work out of. It's up here, so we try to focus on that. And so that's kind of our strategy. And yeah, like I said, that's my weakest part for my business right now, for sure.
But you guys have a lot of business coming in, so whatever you're doing now is working well.
Yeah, it's doing all right. I got a meeting with them next week, to kind of go over our goals and plans for this year. So I'm hoping that we can, push forward.
Nice.
And the last question that we're asking guests is, what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to start a business in the Evergreen Foothills area?
As far as starting a business, is read a bunch of books. That's what that's really helped me out a ton, to be honest, is just learning how to work on the business, not in the business. Mm-hmm. is where I'm at right now and trying to grow in that sense. And a ton of books that I read on that. And then as far as like up here in the Evergreen area is, just get your face out there and get to know the community, maybe join the chamber and get to kind of get your face out there for people to see. And get some trust up in here, because a lot of if you're talking about a contractor business, anyways, a lot of bad names or a lot of bad thought can go behind a contractor up here in the Evergreen area. So just making sure you're being honest up front and just and have integrity.
Nice. And are you reading books physically, or are you an audiobook guy? I'm audiobook only while out on runs and driving. Are you actually sitting down and reading, or are you audiobooks?
No, straight up audiobooks.
Same here,
for sure. And I'm speed 1 still, so yeah.
I'm actually reading books, Kate. 12 of them I'm reading this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got one for you, Jonathan. It's called Extreme Ownership.
I love it.
Great book. You already read it? Yeah, great book
times.
for a business owner.
Yeah.
Really neat book. Navy SEALs, right?
Yeah.
Cool book. So
yeah, I try to get my guys to read that as well. Just taking that ownership in whatever you do in life.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite business book that you listen to over and over again?
Yeah, man, I have like 4 of them that I listen to over and over that I just kind of jump back and forth once I finish it. Then I'll start maybe a new one that month, and then I'll go back and do the next one. But my top ones would be E-Myth Revisited.
Yep.
That one was a great one that changed my life. How to Build a Small Business, fantastic. Profit First, a great book.
That's a good book.
And then also Buy Back Your Time. That's a fantastic book as well.
Have you done Good to Great yet?
No,
by Collins?
I have not.
That's a good book.
Okay.
Especially sounds like where your business is. One of my favorite things is make sure people are in the right seat on the bus.
Yeah.
He talks about that. But that's a great book to read too.
Okay, I'll put it on my
Put it on your list.
That's what I do. People recommend, put it on my list, and I just go through.
Yeah, I think that's how we grow as business owners, right? Just
Yeah.
to make sure. I mean, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to see what the best companies and people have done.
For sure.
There's a trade company down in Denver that I know and have worked with, and they started 3 years ago and are now the third largest company in Colorado for that entire service industry. And they just read Good to Great. They go a chapter a week, just on repeat for all of their employees. And that's what the CEO is credited with, going from starting the business to the third largest in a major service category. He credits a lot of that to specifically that
One
book.
of the best books I've read.
Yeah, all right. Well, I gotta get on that. And there's a lot of myth out there. You own a business, everyone thinks that oh yeah, it must be great, it must be awesome. You have endless amount of cash, But man, that is just the opposite of the truth. There's a lot of stress, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of just feeling alone. That business owners have and carry with them, and a lot of times the finance isn't there either. So when you get into business, and you just know that it can be tough, know that people have gone through it, know that people are out there that can help you and direct you. That's been a huge thing for me, is just connecting with people in this industry throughout the nation. I'm part of NADRA, and it's a nationwide deck and railing association. And man, I have grown so much just from talking to other deck companies throughout the nation and what they do and what they've done. And it's, that would be one of my biggest things, is like, don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable and be honest with yourself. Don't be fake and pretend like you're at this level when really you're down here when in the books, So just there's people out there who've been through it and done it, can help you out.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And for everybody listening, I'd encourage you to go to Jonathan's website, Colorado Custom Covers and Decks. Their projects are incredible. I've seen some of those photos of the projects, and they're not some rinky-dink deck on kind of your back porch. These are dreams that I imagine people are thinking about for a long time. You're bringing their dream kind of house and living outside into reality. I know that you're an honest guy. You've been around here a long time. You're not some fly-by-night contractor. So I'd encourage everybody to go to your website. We're also hosted here by Brian Caldwell as a sponsor. Brian is the best insurance agent if you are a business owner here in the local area. When I got my insurance through him, it was a super easy process. He asked all of the right questions to figure out the right coverage that I need. Whether you're a solopreneur like me or you have a number of employees, definitely give Brian a call. And if you need your home and auto insurance as well, bundle and save. All of my insurance, both business and personals, through him.
Thanks,
my
Kate.
entire family's. So make sure to give his office a call for a quote. And this is also sponsored by myself here at the Shoot Social Studio. If you're a business owner wanting to get into podcasting, into social media content, into online courses, this is the place to be. We have a number of different sets, white glove service. So from the time you walk out of here, everything starts getting edited and posted without you having to take time out of your schedule. And once again, thank you, Jonathan, for being on.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. We learned a lot, and I just got to mention, great beard. I got a little beard envy. So you enjoy your day, and thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's not just a deck, it's a lifestyle.
There you
I
go.
love that.